I'd like to ask a question, Dr. Miller-Driss, if I may. You're an expert on so-called right-wing extremism, including online radicalization by right-wing extremist groups. You've written several books on right-wing extremism, including Hate in the Homeland, The New Global Far Right. You're a member of the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC, Tracking Hate and Extremism Advisory Committee. I couldn't find any of your work studying left extremism or Antifa or BLM.
I'm an expert on the far right because I spent the first 20 years of my career working in Germany in the post-Holocaust, post-unification surge of far-right extremism. And I know you have a hearing on Tuesday on far-left extremism.
Yeah, but Dr. Miller-Driss, just to let you know, this is America. We're not Nazi Germany.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and an expert witness called Marge the Trainwreck Greene ridiculous and left the Georgia Jackaloon's head spinning. Dr. Cynthia Miller-Driss, an expert witness, appeared before the House Oversight Committee last week and wound up giving the Georgia Republican a couple of sobering fact checks, and it was epic.
I'm just wondering, how do you consider your organization, Peril, and a good source of informing people on what they should believe and not believe when you do no study whatsoever into left extremism?
First of all, just to respond to your query about what we teach people, we don't teach people anything. We are just looking at helping them understand what the tactics of manipulation are online so they can make better decisions. We have experts who do work on environmental extremism. We have experts who work on Islamist forms of extremism. But because both under the Trump administration and the Biden administration, the emphasis has been right now on the greatest, most lethal threat, which has been determined to be far-right, meaning white supremacist extremism and unlawful militias.
Well, Dr. Miller-Driss, just real quick, I'm out of time, but would you consider Trump supporters extremist?
We are worried about violent extremism, so that to the extent, not about what people believe, but to the extent that they are moving toward violence.
Dr. Miller-Driss is a sociologist and a professor in the School of Public Affairs and the School of Education at American University. She runs the Polarization and the Extremism Research Labs. She has testified before Congress numerous times, and she briefs intelligence agencies in the U.S. and around the world on trending violent extremism. She has been funded by grants from the National Science Foundation and, get this, the United States Department of Homeland Security, the very committee that the Georgia Sasquatch serves on. Marge is undereducated and ill-informed. It was just last month that Marge was shut down by GOP-led committees after she called Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas a liar. Her idiotic outbursts take up time and money and frustrate her own Republican committee members, not to mention make a mockery out of the legislative process. The fact that Marge got reelected speaks volumes about the district she represents.
Trump supporters specifically.
If they're calling for violence, it doesn't matter to me who they support.
Haven't seen any. By the way, there's a great rally in Iowa this weekend. If you want to study people on the right and what they believe, you'll find secure borders, freedom of speech.
Gentlewoman's time.
No crime. Thank you.
Time has expired. I wrote.
Marge tried to make the proceedings about her and her crazy conspiracy, saying that she has seen no evidence of Trump supporters being violent. Marge wanted to direct the proceedings towards conspiracy and tried to minimize the expert witness's character. Marge implied that if the guest was such an expert, why didn't Marge see any books about left-wing violence like Antifa and BLM? Dr. Miller-Driss informed the Georgia swamp monster that she was an expert on right-wing extremism because she had spent the first 20 years of her career working in Germany in the post-Holocaust, post-unification surge far-right extremism. She made her point eloquently despite the flagrant attempts by Marge to kick up dust. Hundreds of Trump supporters have been arrested and jailed for their crimes on January the 6th. Boneheads like Marge the Trainwreck Greene have rushed to the sides of the imprisoned traitors outside of the D.C. jail, just to have dog whistles blown in her face. Marge needs to get run out of Congress the way she was run out of New York. She's a lunatic, and she's got Kevin McCarthy's junk in the bottom of her purse. What a spineless worm. Morons like Stuart Elmer Fudd Rhodes of the Oath Keepers and Enrico Tarrio of the Proud Boys have already been convicted of seditious conspiracy. They are facing years in prison over their violent activities. So if Marge the Trainwreck Greene hasn't seen any violent extremists at all, then she's not looking at the evidence. Marge is an absolute moron, and that is a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.